Hello everyone, Namaskar. Myself Dr. Ramhit Chopal, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Patna College, Patna University. I am here to deliver the second part of my lecture series on Hayavadana, entitled as the Critical Assessment of the Play Hayavadana by Girish Karnad. In this part, I will discuss the thematic analysis of the play Hayavadana. Let us start. Being influenced by Bertolt Brecht's concept of big theatre and the traditional elements of Indian drama, Girish Karnad tries to explore a metaphysical theme in the play Hayavadana. Keeping the religious background of ancient Indian drama in the background, the dramatist is dealing with the modern philosophical theories like existentialism and the theory of the absurd. The major theme in the play Hayavadana is search for completeness. All the characters in the play we find are incomplete individuals who search for their completion. Whether we talk of Devdatta, a man of intellect who is secretly craves for a strong body, or when we talk about Kapila, who is a man of physical prowess, he yearns for Padmini's beauty. Padmini, as far as Padmini's incompleteness is concerned, she is whom the playwright has described as the Syama Naika born of Kalidas's magic description, as what Sayan had dreamed her, has a desire to get both body and mind. The play explores the theme of incompleteness at three levels. So these three levels include uh, divine level, which is represented by the physical deformity and imperfection of the Lord Ganesha. The human level, which is represented by the three characters, major characters of the play, that is Devdata, Padmini, and Kapila. And at animal level, which is represented by, which has been shown in the character of Hayavadan, who also consists the subplot of the play. So incompleteness is inevitable, and dramatist here is trying to establish the fact that incompleteness is inevitable and human relationships are bound to be influenced by it. Padmini's absurd attempt to have a perfect combination of head and body illustrates it nicely. The dramatist is trying to present a modern problem, that is the complexity of modern human relationships in a world of triangled relationship. As one of the critics, Kirtinath Koti writes, and I quote, Karnad's play poses a different problem, that of human identity in a world of tangled relationships, and I quote, end the quote. Devdatta and Kapila are ironically compared with the Indian mythical characters like Rama and Krishna and Balram. Further, the relationship between Devdatta, Kapila and Padmini has been ironically compared with the relationship between Rama, Lakshmana and Sita. In the beginning, Devdatta and Kapila are bosom friends, but what we find after the arrival of Padmini, the tension starts to arise between them. And especially we find in the Devdatta's case, who gets annoyed and gets irritation whenever Kapila enters his home and talks to Padmini. He also feels bad towards his wife, who ignores his love gestures and enjoys Kapila's company. He feels teased by both Padmini and Kapila. Padmini, being Sita to him, is not supposed to develop liking for Kapila, whom Devdatta considers as Lakshman. This fact torments him a lot, but he is never straightforward enough to convey to Kapila that he is no more welcome in his house. Nor does he clearly restricts his wife from talking and meeting Kapila. Rather, he covers his feelings when Padmini questions him for being upset over the name of Kapila. Devadatta says, and I quote, I am not upset, Padmini. Kapila is not merely a friend, he is like my brother. One has to collect merit in 7 lives to get a friend like him. And I end quote. Kapila suffers from same weakness. He too at no cost wants to make his feelings public, as he knows well that it will result in confrontation between the two friends. He too likes to maintain the two relationships, that is, friendship with Devdatta and liking for Padmini. Padmini too is not free from the complexity in her relationship. She too is very secretive about her attraction, physical attraction for Kapila. She cannot clearly tell Devdata that she likes Kapila for his beautiful body, something that he, Devdata, lacks, and so she loves him no more. When Devdata indiscreetly expresses his dislike for the intimacy between her and Kapila, she implores him thus, and I quote, "Look now, you got annoyed about Kapila, but why? You are my saffron, my marriage thread, and my deity. Why should you feel upset?" I end quote here. One of the critics, Pranav Josipura, who rightly observes as far as the complexity in the play is concerned, and I quote, Karnad good-humouredly yet critically manipulates the very concept of the rational and the physical. The multiplicity of the characters and their individual psychic circles playing into each other build up a complex pattern of human relationships. And by projecting these human sympathies against a gradually intensifying class of personalities, Karnad presents a comprehensive picture of the human being. And I end quote. Another important theme of the play is Karnad's treatment of love and sexuality, as the playwright always builds up his thoughts against the background of Indian tradition. His attitude towards love and sex is always compatible. The relationship between Padmini and Kapila in Hayavadana has sexual connotations, though it remains to attraction only. In the beginning, the sexual liberty of Padmini is hinted at, and it is emphasized that love knows no boundaries. The social institutions like marriage cannot restrict it to a single body, as the dramatist writes, and I quote, "Why should love stick to the shape of a single body? When the stem is drunk with the thick yearning of the many-petaled, many-flowered lantana, why should it be tied down to the relation of a single flower?" And I end quote. Subsequently, Padmini falls in love with Kapila because her husband has no sexual attraction for her. After Padmini has transposed the heads wrongly, she at once decides to select the figure which has Kapila's body. Even before Rishi decides their dispute, here we can find the unconscious desire in Padmini. She makes up her mind to go with Devdatta. She goes to the extent of cursing Kapila when he shows his claim over her, holding that it is the body that represents man. Kapila rightly exposes her true intentions, and I quote, "I know what you want, Padmini. Devdatta's clever head and Kapila's strong body," and I end quote. The treatment of existential ideas is another important thematic aspect of the play. Due to the influence of Kamu and Sartre, Karnad's characters too feel alienated in an empty and meaningless universe. Alienation, despair, and feeling of nothingness hunt them. In Hayavadana, almost all the characters are victims of alienation. Devdatta and Kapila suffer because of their incomplete selves. Whereas Kapila's incompleteness is lack of intellect, Devdatta's imperfection lies in not having a strong body. Padmini's incompleteness and alienation lies in her discontentment with Devdatta. So we find that all these characters are suffering from imperfection, incompleteness, and a kind of self-alienation. The sense of revolt is very much weaved in Karnad's art of playwriting, which is yet another theme in the play Hayavadana. Being influenced by the existentialists, revolt against the establishment is the common characteristics of Karnad's mind. As Herbert Reed quotes Camus in his foreword to the essay The Rebel, and I quote, "Revolt is the essential dimension of mankind. It is no longer the revolt of the slaves against the masters, or nor even the revolt of the poor against the rich. It is a metaphysical revolt, the revolt of man against the conditions of life, against creation itself." And I end quote. The above statement can be aptly applied to the life of Padmini, who rebels against the stereotypical idea that a woman must live within the uh, marital bonds. She cannot express her desires and feelings beyond the marital bonds. So she is very much against this conventional ideas, and we find in the play That's how her love for Kapila, and even when she goes to the forest and they have some physical intimation there with Kapila. So all these things shows that she is quite unconventional, untraditional, and she does not accept any stereotypical ideas in the play. Being unconventional, Padmini do not hesitate to express her appreciation for Kapila in Devdata's presence. Pranab Joshipura aptly says, and I quote, "Probably what Karnad tries to reveal through Padmini is the predicament of a modern, free and bold woman who is torn between polarities, a woman who loves her husband as well as someone else for two different aspects of their personalities." And I end quote. And this is the end of the second part of my lecture. That is the thematic analysis of the play Hayavadana. Thank you.